Hello and welcome to something that has become sort of an annual event, the 2018 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee review slash rant. Definitely going to be a rant this time. So basically, I'm going to do the same thing I did last year where I talk about each nominee, my thoughts on every single one, and which ones I think should get in. And this time I'm also going to add in a little bit of the controversy that I've been speculating about this nomination period in the past few weeks after the nominees were revealed. A lot of people have been a little mixed about the nominations this year. Last year was a pretty strong class. I know in my video last year I talked about quite a few bands that were up for it that I felt, probably should have gotten in but didn't that year, and some of them have carried over to this year. Others, such as Kraftwerk, did not get in last year and probably won't get in ever, which really makes me upset. But anyways, um, the rant I'm going to be, semi-ranting about is the artist Bon Jovi. Of course, if you check the voting right now, I'm gonna put it on the screen actually right now. It's crazy what's been happening with this. That he has been receiving so many votes that you can't even see where the voting uh, toolbar ends on the screen. It's crazy, and some people have been saying that this is rigged, that his fans have been rigging the website. But I do remember Rush was doing Rush fans were doing the same thing. So I guess Bon Jovi just has such a following that he's ending up getting this amount of votes. It's pretty crazy. I guess I commend the effort from his fan base. I, however, am not a member of his fan base, and I find his music to be pretty ludicrous. I do generally just can't stand his stuff. He's pretty talentless, in my opinion. I think the only reason why he is popular is because of his good looks. They don't make the greatest music, although they did have like 5 or 6 hits. But can you name me anything besides the 5 or 6 hits they play on the radio? Um, I think I've always said it since the beginning. Richie Sambora is the heart and soul of that band. He's extremely talented. He's a great guitarist, and the songs that he writes are generally the songs that I don't find horrible by Bon Jovi. And the fact that they're in first place just irks me to no end. At one point, Judas Priest was in last place, and they were in first, and I was like, seriously? The band with the most talent is in last, and the band with least talent is in first, which so it looks like Bon Jovi's definitely going to be in at this point. I'm not sure if he's ever been nominated before. Let me check right now. I'm thinking not, actually. It looks like, yes, he was nominated before, back in 2011, and must have just barely missed out, because this is crazy, the fact that so many people have voted this way. And, people are saying it's rigged, but I've already said it's probably not rigged. It's just the fan base really getting on his side, which I don't necessarily agree with. So that's my mini rant on here. So overall, my thoughts on Bon Jovi, terrible. Not voting for him. Kate Bush is next up on the list, and she's pretty talented. I know her mainly from her collaborations with Peter Gabriel and David Gilmour. I know David Gilmour produced many of her albums. She's considered progressive. I've never really given her a big listen, but I do like what I've heard. She seems fairly similar to Peter Gabriel, I'd say, in the art rock, art pop sort of way. I know she's pretty big in England, and that's probably where she's getting the most votes from, but she's not getting many now from Americans, so that's why she's pretty low on the list of the voting. But she deserves to be in, I think, but it probably will not happen. The Cars are also up. I said last year they were up for it last year, and they deserve to be in. I'm voting for them over Kate Bush just because I think that they have been nominated more, so I feel like that their chances have impeded them a little more than Kate Bush's, so that's why I'm voting for the Cars. If you want to know my thoughts on them, just click on the 2017 video, and I'll talk more about them on there. Same thing with Depeche Mode. I'm also voting for them. They were up for it last year. They deserved to go in last year. They deserve to go in now. I'm not sure why they're not being put in. They're pretty low on the list once again. It's kind of weird. I think that they're more influential than the Eurythmics, although I think the Eurythmics are pretty cool too, but Depeche Mode deserve a lot more votes than they're getting. And again, if you want to hear my thoughts, go to the 2017 video. Next up, Dire Straits. I cannot believe this is Dire Straits' first year being up for this. They are a great group. I've seen Mark Knopfler live. He's a fantastic guitarist. The whole band, they sound great. They released some classic albums like Brothers in Arms and the debut. They've got some awesome songs, and they're a band that I continually go towards when looking at bands that fuse progressive and blues rock. If you check, like, the song Brothers in Arms is pretty much proggy, but it's got a lot of Celtic and blues influences, which that sound is really cool. And they opened up a lot of, really neat boundaries for music videos with something like Money for Nothing, which the song itself was a parody of MTV, but the song became one of the most popular MTV anthems, which is kind of weird if you think about it. But enough on that. Dire Straits definitely gets a thumbs up for me. Eurythmics. I like the Eurythmics. They've got some great songs. Of course, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This is their biggest hit. That's a great song. Annie Lennox is a great singer. They, I think, deserve to be in, but because of Depeche Mode being on here, I did not vote for them. And they have not been up for it yet. Depeche Mode have, so I feel like since Depeche Mode have toiled, they get the vote. Jay Giles is up for it again, and like I said in the 2017 video, because of the class here, they're probably not going to get in once again. It's too bad, actually. And now we get to the band that I'm going to push for the most, Judas Priest. Judas Priest, if they get in this year, would be the third, only the third metal band to be put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is just a travesty in my opinion. Black Sabbath and Metallica being the other two, which makes sense. But Judas Priest aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's crazy. Rob Halford is one of the greatest singers of all time. You've got the amazing dual guitar of K.K. Downey and Glenn Tipton. They've released so many classic albums, and they've been a juggernaut since the early 70s and really have been, one of the most consistent bands ever. I don't like Judas Priest as much as I do Iron Maiden, but I definitely will vote for them, and I urge anybody who watched this video and is a metal fan and did not know that they were up for this, please vote for them as many times as possible. They are not in yet, and I'll flash the polling as of this video right now, where they stand in the rankings. They would not be in if this ended right now, so please, metalheads, vote for them. I don't want to see Judas Priest miss out. Because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has a tendency to skip over metal bands, and this is the one year that they're letting one up for nomination, and they're not going to get in. So who knows if they're going to be put up for nomination once again. Next up is LL Cool J. Not sure how he's been nominated 4 times. I only know Mama Said Knock You Out from him. He's okay. He's a pretty good actor, but I wouldn't say he deserves to be up for any sort of nomination or induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Next up is MC5. Once again, I talked about them in my last year's video because they were up for it last year. They're pretty low in the rankings once again. They're known mostly for the Kick Out the Jam song, which I called abrasive in that video. That's kind of funny. I said that song was too abrasive for me. It's just an okay song. The Meters are also nominated. I wasn't aware who they were. I think they've only got like one hit song, but they do actually still tour to this day, and there was a video of them on TV the other day, and it was pretty good, so I think I was surprised actually how good they were. So I was going to originally say, who are these guys and why are they on here, but I can see why now, despite them only having one hit. I don't think they should be in, but I definitely have a more improved opinion on them after seeing them on TV. Next up is the Moody Blues, another band that I'm like, seriously, how did they not get nominated before this year? This is their first year being nominated. They have so many classic albums. They would be one of the first, or they would be another one of the only prog bands to be in, which would be a good thing to see. So far, they're in second place, and it's a good number of votes they've been getting. So I'm guessing that they are going to be put in. Justin Hayward has a great voice. The band overall released some very solid albums, and I think that they did definitely get my vote. So if you've been following so far, my vote goes to the Moody Blues, Judas Priest, Dire Straits, Depeche Mode, and the Cars. Those are my five. So the rest of these bands, I do not really want to see in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'll go over them pretty quickly. Radiohead. Oh gosh. I know if you're a Radiohead fan, please click off the video because I am not a fan of Radiohead. I consider them to be one of the most overrated groups of all time. They have the #1 album on RateYourMusic.com, which is just crazy. OK Computer is the album that's #1 on the top of the rankings, and it's so overrated. There are possibly 2 good songs on that album, in my opinion at least. But people call them so innovative and so amazing, and nothing they can do is wrong. But I just don't understand the wide appeal. Some of their songs sound really similar. They sound a little bit to me like just Britpop with some progressive and alternative influences. They've got some pretty great songs, and the most unpopular thing about this band for me is my favorite song of theirs is Burn the Witch off of A Moon-Shaped Pool, which I also believe to be their best album. I just listened to that a couple of months ago, and I thought that it was better than anything I'd heard by them previously, which a lot of people tend to disagree with. But anyways, Radiohead, definitely not for me. Thumbs down. Rage Against the Machine is up for this year. Another band that a lot of people were speculating should be in, but haven't gotten a lot of votes. Eh. Their first album's pretty innovative for the rap and metal fusion. After that, their albums tend to get a little overlong, and I'm not a huge fan of Zach De La Rocha as anything. I don't really like his styling as a musician. Tom Morello's guitar, as good a guitarist as he is, kind of annoys me as well with his weird style. But overall, they're a good band. They've got some pretty great songs, some classics of the 90s, but I don't think they're that good that they should be put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Next up is Rufus featuring Shaka Khan. I didn't know Rufus had any hits besides Tell Me Something Good. Personally, I don't really care for anything else I've ever heard by them. Shaka Khan, like I said in the 2017 video, is just okay. She had some 70s and 80s disco hits, but I have nothing else to say. Nina Simone is next. I'm surprised that she hasn't been up for nomination yet. I've never really heard anything of hers that really has caught my ear. I know Anthony Fantano has some sort of strange, obsession with her music. That's fine. It's not my cup of tea. She's pretty low in the rankings too, so I don't know. Maybe she won't be put up next year. Same goes for the next two. Sister Rosetta Thorpe, who I had no idea existed before these nominations were sent out. I guess she does blues from a long time ago. I guess she was 50s and 40s blues singer. I had never heard of her before, so I just know that she's pretty low in the rankings as well. Same with the next artist, Link Ray, who has some great songs. Rumble and Fire and Brimstone are two of the most classic examples of rock and roll before there was rock and roll. However, he's not really that popular among surf rock crowds because he's not really fitting in that genre, nor is he fitting into rock and roll. So people that like Chuck Berry are usually not gravitating towards him either. So I think that because of this, his small fan base has not really jumped on the bandwagon of voting for him yet. So that's why he's very low in the rankings. And then finally, the Zombies, who were up for it last year. They had a few hits in the 60s. They got some great songs, but compared to the other artists, they're definitely not as good. So I don't think that they really should be in. So that is my review basically of the nominations. It's kind of become an annual thing for me now. Um, I enjoy talking about these artists. They're usually uh, up for nomination for a reason. I've given my five. I want to know who your five are, and if you agree with me, please let me know. And if you want to vote for Judas Priest, please do that. Yeah, metalheads, please vote for Judas Priest. That is important. Um, yeah, so it looks like at least besides Bon Jovi, the bands that are up towards the top are in their correct places. So I guess if Bon Jovi weren't there, my voting would have been the one that would have made sense, which, the most popular one, but because Bon Jovi is there, he just throws a wrench in everything. So yeah, Bon Jovi sucks. Let's go Judas Priest is basically the message of this video.